moving on to maybe, just as kind of sad news, or not news, but we'll get into the Black Panther Wakanda Forever review, a movie that made me a little quite cry like a little bitch, but on the inside, not in the outside. Sorry, Seth. But yeah, we'll start off.
Why do you not cry at anything?
I don't know. I can't.
It's so weird. I'll cry like once a day at a film.
I know.
And it was an MCU film as well.
I know. I've cried at an MCU film, man. I cried at Endgame. But Black Panther Wakanda Forever. We'll start this off. We'll do a non-spoiler section, give your scores, and then the spoiler section. I've kind of got the movie like beat for beat. Just gonna run through the movie because it is a lot to unpack. These MCU movies have a ton in it. So, if you guys want to just mention anything during the spoiler section, just cut me off when I'm running through. But that'll be how it goes. Black Panther Wakanda Forever obviously came out Thursday. It's doing really well at the box office. I think it's about 300 million where it's at.
Is it?
So I think so. So a day ago it was at 200 million or 180.
So you can probably imagine it would have
185. So not exactly 200, but I'm rounding here.
Yeah.
Gotta imagine it's gotten there. Yeah. So it's basically made its money back. Directed by Ryan Coogler. Everyone's basically returned. Letitia Wright. Tanoa Huerta is new in this, but Angela Bassett's returned. Sorry, never mind. that's a spoiler that I'm not going to say. But yeah, who wants to start? George, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll start.
Second MCU defender.
I don't think I'm as big an MCU defender as you are anymore.
No, that's fair.
But no, I thought this was a really solid outing. I think Ryan Coogler had a massive mountain ahead of him. Not only did he have to deal with the death of an icon in Chadwick Boseman, but he also had to, kind of figure out where he wanted to take the Black Panther story. And I think he did both of those brilliantly. When the Marvel Studios logo was going on in the beginning of the movie, my theater was silent. Chills were just running down my spine. It was a beautiful moment. The movie overall, I said this in my TikTok review, I think it runs a bit too long. But at the same time, I think it does a very good job at expanding a lot of these new characters that are going to be taking over within the Black Panther universe in the MCU, specifically Letitia Wright. I cannot stress how fucking amazing she was in this movie. Same with Angela Bassett. She was so goddamn good in this movie.
So good.
They were so good. And the movie is a spectacle. I got the chance to see this in Dolby. No surprise the trailers kind of made it out to be a spectacle, and that's exactly what it was. They were these massive action set pieces. Some really good choreography. The soundtrack absolutely banging. I had a really good time with this movie overall. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it sits just inside my top 15 MCU movies. Apparently, it's a hot take to say, but I don't have this above the first Black Panther. But they are very close.
I think a lot of people don't, to be honest. Like from what my comments as well.
I have them both rated a 4 out of 5 stars. So I mean, if you want to go by that, then they're even. But in my MCU ranking, I think Wakanda Forever falls 2 spots below Black Panther. But I enjoyed Wakanda Forever. I had a great time with it. Again, I think it ran a bit too long. We'll get into Namor, I guess, more of spoilers. I liked his character. I did not love his character. And those are my very quick spoiler-free thoughts.
Tyler, you want to go next? We'll bounce back from the 4s and 4.5s.
Right, so. I'll keep it pretty quick because, like George said, I'm gonna talk. We'll talk a lot deeper in the spoiler section, but we'll keep it brief for people who haven't seen it yet. First thing I want to mention is Seth. Okay, so Seth said at first he texts our group chat and he's like, "Guys, I didn't like it," and he does this all the time. That's just a pet peeve I want to bring up. Seth would be like, "Guys, I didn't like it," and then we'll be like. Comment like I was just like, oh yeah, Seth's trolling us again. He's like, no, like I actually didn't like it, and like we're like, no, there's no way. He's like, nope, I didn't. And then at this point, we're like, damn, you didn't. And he's like, oh, I got you all again. It's like, no, you just told us like 3 straight times. You're like, no, I'm not joking. I'm serious. And then finally, we're like, oh, okay, you're serious. You're like, I got you, you dumbasses.
I didn't like it because saying I didn't like it would be believable.
No, you said it was bottom 3.
Yeah, you said it was bottom 5.
Bottom 5, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm funny. I think I'm funny. That's all it does.
So if someone trolls you and then you call them out, you're like, "That's a troll," and then they're like, "No, it's not a troll." Then like, sorry, I'm an asshole for just like believing you the second time.
It's like, what did I say? I think like I was like, I put in the chat like, oh, I didn't know that Liam and Chris Hemsworth were related. And Cam was like, how did you not know that? And I was like, well, I didn't. And then
To be fair, you do get us
it
sometimes for sure, but that one
Yeah,
just like
this
was
one
my
doesn't
extra
count.
pet
This
peeve.
one
Because like,
doesn't
It does. They all count. They
No,
all
this one
count
doesn't
towards
count.
the metric.
okay,
I'm gonna
I'll
count
just
how
I'll
many
just chalk it up
times.
to British humor. But my takeaway on Black Panther, so I'd say it's not a shock that Seth and I are like the least MCU guys on this podcast. So going into it, like for most MCU projects, I'm not that excited. But then randomly, like a couple days before this one, I started getting super amped for it, and it had nothing to do with any early reviews or any like whatever Rotten Tomatoes says. Like all of a sudden, I was just like, damn, I'm super excited to see Ryan Coogler in this universe again. Went into it, and I loved it. I thought we'll talk about this one in the spoiler section, but a lot of the things people had criticisms on, I didn't dislike, and a lot of things people really praised it for, I kind of didn't like. So it's kind of weird. Like in my interpretation, I feel like it just was very opposite of a lot of people. But overall, I give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Thought it looked beautiful in terms of the cinematography. Didn't think it looked beautiful in terms of the like CGI and more that kind of stuff. But beautiful movie to look at in terms of the shots, the direction. Ryan Coogler. It's no surprise that he's just an incredible director. Namor was good. I'm not gonna say I didn't think he was great, which again is like George said, but we're very opposite of a lot of people. But overall, thought it was good. Really enjoyed it. Walked out of that theater super happy. Very emotional. End credits or mid credit scene was super emotional. And just to save you all the time, if you haven't seen it yet, there is no end credit scene. Like there's the mid credits, then the credits start again. Leave your theater unless you want to pay tribute to all the people who worked on the movie, which is fine. But there is no end credit scene. I told George that, and he didn't believe me.
I believed you. I left.
I mean, technically, there was an end credit scene. It said Black Panther will return. So
They say that in every single.
I'm just saying that's
thank
something.
you.
That
Thank
is
you, George.
something.
Seth, your thoughts?
Yeah. So I mean, like Tyler said, like me and him are probably the least on the MCU. I think I went into this looking forward to it, and I think I expected a visual spectacle because let's be honest, the MCU, they have a very, very similar formula that they follow in terms of these films that look amazing, no doubt. I don't necessarily think Wakanda Forever breaks that formula. I don't think it's particularly unique, but I did actually really enjoy a lot more than I thought I was going to. That being said, I give it a 4 out of 5, same as George. So I actually really enjoyed it, like a lot more than I thought I was going to. So the same as the first one, I would actually have it slightly higher in regard than the first one. But again, similar to what George said, I think they are like really close. So I don't think there's anything in it. Like I understand people who rated this higher than me, but I also understand people who rated this a lot lower than me because I think there is issues. I think it is very messy at times. It is quite bloated. It is quite busy in terms of a lot of the subplots and the things they tried to provide. But the soundtrack was amazing. I love the sound. The music is so good. Like it's so good. Some of the performances really good. Angela Bassett being the standout for me. She was fantastic. I did find the end sort of fight scene quite anticlimactic, to be honest. I didn't feel like it built up to. I think the first sort of hour and a half far outweighed the last hour. I really enjoyed the first sort of hour and a half a lot more. I think it was funny a lot. It didn't cringe me too much, which is an accomplishment for the MCU. Like it did, there was a few jokes here and there, and I was like, "That's just the MCU." But it was a lot more successful than a lot of them are in general. Yeah. But no, I enjoyed it. I think it was good. I think that it looked amazing. The music was good. They dealt with the passing in a good way. I think I liked. I felt the final scene and the first 5 minutes. Tyler, I don't think you loved the first 5 minutes, did you? I was the opposite. I think the first 5 minutes was actually I really liked it, to be honest.
We'll get into that.
I think it added something to the film and it added sort of a bit of emotion there. And even I definitely felt sad because it is a sad passing. But no, I enjoyed it. I think it was fine. I understand the criticisms, but I understand the praise. I don't think it's a perfect film. I don't think it breaks the MCU formula, but I definitely think it's one of their stronger films in my opinion anyway. But yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, and then not to harp on it too much, gave it a 90 out of 100. I have like 1 point below Black Panther, so technically not as good.
I think everyone has it like round the same.
Yeah, like it's right there. I really respect what Ryan Coogler has done with this universe. To me, I think Namor is one of the better, probably top 10 MCU villains. But I do think like the MCU has 5 like really strong villains, and then the next 7 maybe.
Can you name them so like I can?
God, off the top of my head, maybe
not
Thanos.
10, just like Thanos,
Thanos, Loki, Killmonger for me.
Yeah.
maybe Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, maybe, but I think he got a benefit of having prior movies. And then who's the villain in Shang-Chi's name? Wenwu.
Helmut Zemo. Don't you dare forget Helmut
Zemo. I don't.
Who's that?
Zemo. Civil War. Zemo is a lot of get lucky villain. Is very much a get lucky villain.
Oh,
but
wait, who's that? I don't remember this.
Civil War. He's the guy who's kind of like puppet mastering everything.
Oh yeah.
I do like him. I do think Daniel Bruhl plays him very well, but I think he gets lucky a lot, and everything is based on chance in that movie. Whatever, doesn't matter. I can't throw out maybe every villain. I don't know, but yeah, those are maybe the top 5 or however many I named, and then I think Namor is pretty close up there. But yeah, so I think this movie's like really good. I really, really enjoyed it. A big, kind of missed the mark for me. I think it does 3 or 4 characters extremely well. And then I think everyone else in this movie kind of takes a back seat. This isn't really a spoiler, but Everett Ross is a non-factor in this movie. He doesn't necessarily need to be a huge character by any means, but you put him in. He was a fairly big part of the first Black Panther. He's a non-factor.
Is that Martin Freeman's character? I can't remember.
Martin Freeman.
That's what I said.
But yeah, that's kind of can't stress enough that I loved the soundtrack, man. We talked about it. The score of like what is
the constant?
The constant like choop 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 choop. The Black Panther like theme almost is so fucking good throughout this movie. Every time it came on, I just got very excited. Ludwig Göransson is awesome. He's the Mandalorian composer, if you did not know. So yeah, that's kind of my general opinion. Really enjoyed it. Do we want to get into spoilers now?
Can I just mention one thing?
Yeah, of course.
This will surprise you. I did not feel the length that much at all.
I didn't.
I did. I thought I would, because the MCU film being this kind of like I felt the length more in like a lot more in Endgame, for example, than this. Like I don't know. I don't know what it was. I just didn't really feel the length. It felt like probably a 2-hour film to me, not a upwards of nearly 3-hour film, which is a positive from their end, definitely.
No, yeah, I agree, and I'll just keep carrying on the spoiler-free conversation because Cam's frozen, so I'm guessing he's like leaving and coming back. He's coming back right now, but I will say just because you all touched on it, but I didn't touch on it. I do have this rated higher than the first film, first Black Panther film. I have that one at a 7.9 out of 10, I think, and I have this one at 9 out of 10. So decent margin for me.
Wow,
that's a lot higher.
Yeah. But yeah, the first one, I don't want to harp on the first one, but the end, just for me, I just didn't really care for the final battle. I didn't love it as much in this one, but I thought this one was just a lot deeper and more emotional than really any MCU film I've seen in a long time, and actually had like plot with like themes other than just superheroes. But let's get into spoilers.
All right. So spoilers, just to recap. Tyler and I both had 9. Tyler's a 9 out of 10. I'm a 90 out of 100. I will not pander to out of 10 or out of 5 community. George and Seth both 4 out of 5s. So now we'll get into spoilers, and like I said, I'm just kind of going to run through the movie because there's a lot to unpack. Starting off, it gives us a clear. It does have a Chadwick off-screen death, but it talks about it a lot more than I expected. I know Tyler, I think, found it odd. I found it a little odd. I assumed they would kind of open up really with the funeral, but this also, like, I think it really hit and hurt a lot as well because, like, Chadwick's death in real life was so, like, unexpected. He wasn't really telling anyone except his close family. In the movie, they imply that he only told Nakia. So it's like, it's pretty emotional, at least for me. I think it also does set up the main plot of this movie, which is we do not have the heart-shaped herb. And Letitia Wright is not able to create the heart-shaped herb until later on, and we can get into that. But Tyler, I know you had like minor issues with it.
In terms of paying tribute, brilliantly done. Because like you said, the parallels to what's on screen in the real life were brilliantly done. But in terms of for like the universe and superheroes, it's like I just feel like if you were gonna have the on-screen death, I needed more explanation because I get it, the parallels to real life. But I just wish they would have just started with that funeral because I don't know. I just found it really weird and jarring that they started with him flatlining, but then you actually don't see him, so they like you don't see them. Well, that's like I just found that juxtaposition weird. Like if you're gonna have him die off screen, and then like everyone just finds out he dies, but they don't actually go and like see it. I don't know. Whatever. It's not like a big issue for me. I just wish For me, I think they should have started with the funeral scene just because I feel like you either got to go all in with like him dying and how he died.
Well, they can't really show him, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I can't remember who I was texting about this, but I'm super glad they didn't do a Princess Leia bullshit and have like a CGI.
I thought at one point we were gonna get a CGI of him.
What's the Princess Leia?
I would have hated that.
Well, they've so the entire third movie in the third trilogy, Princess Leia's scenes are reused from like previous movies.
I didn't even know that.
Because she was passed away. She had passed away. Yeah. So she recorded a bunch for like The Last Jedi, and then in The Rise of Skywalker, they just reused it. A lot of.
Well, I'm very
scenes.
glad they didn't do that for this.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought at one point maybe we'd hear him say Wakanda Forever. We can talk about that at a different point. Doesn't matter. So yeah, they start off with his death, have a celebration of life for him rather than a funeral, which I think is very like important for the culture, especially of Wakanda. Like it's a celebration of life rather than a funeral. Shuri and Ramonda are very upset, but then Marvel pays tribute to him with their opening.
I liked that.
Opening credit. That was fucking cool. Hurt, man. It was so good. They did this with like Stan Lee after Stan Lee passed away, so you knew it was coming, but really, really emotional. Didn't play any music. Like George said, the theater was absolutely silent for me. It was a very good tribute, but then basically
just quickly touch it on the funeral scene more. So for me, that was also like juxtaposition, but not in a bad way, because I think that was the proper way to do it, because culturally I feel like that hits what they were going for a lot better. But the trailer with the sad music and the slow-mo of those funeral scenes, like I was so mentally prepared for like a sad opening funeral scene just based on the trailers being so sad, and all the shots were in slow-mo, and they were cutting in scenes from way later in the movie with like crying. So I was like, oh, this opening scene is going to just make me just so emotional and sad, which it was sad and emotional. It didn't make me tear up. The end of this movie made me tear up. We'll talk about that later. But I don't know. I was just like going into this, I was like, oh, I'm so ready for these first 25 minutes to just absolutely break me. But I enjoyed it. It was a good celebration of life, but just not what I was expecting to see.
Yeah, fair. And then it opens up with a UN meeting. Ramonda goes in and basically talks. Everyone wants vibranium. That's, it's obviously the most like precious metal on Earth in this universe. Everyone wants it. France, I love how they made France the villain, because I'm sure there's someone that was like, you can't make it the US. You can't. French is close enough. But so France basically jumps onto a Wakanda ship trying to steal some vibranium. Awesome entrance of the Dora Milaje, Okoye coming out of that black room. Awesome. Just great. And that's kind of where the movie takes place. And the whole point of this movie is like people trying to get vibranium. So obviously the U.S. government kind of tricks Riri Williams, who is introduced in this movie, into creating a device that can find vibranium. Apparently she's the only one that can, but it's Marvel, so they have to take like they have to take like things like that. But very smart. Goes to MIT, gets her later, and then that's kind of when we're introduced to the Talokan natives. I don't know if they're Atlanteans in this, because they're from Talokan, but they're Atlanteans. But I don't think you can do that because Aquaman doesn't matter. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. CGI blue people, it's all the same. But so then you get introduced to Namor, who does not look like the others, and we'll talk about that later. And then kind of they basically like kill everyone on the ship that was looking for vibranium in the sea, where you will basically find Talokan. Namor then goes to Wakanda, to Ramonda and Shuri, and is all like, hey, someone built a machine to find vibranium. They want to get it, so kill them. And it's a scientist who is obviously Riri Williams. Namor gives a bit of his backstory. Tyler mentioned this. He pronounces his name Namor, but then everyone else in the movie pronounces it Namor. So
it's so weird for me because he literally says it like directly to them. So it's not like they like read his name on a piece of paper, which would be understandable. But he's like, my name is Namor. This is exactly the sentence my name comes from. See Namor. And they're like, sounds good, Namor. And I'm just like, what the hell? So for me, I pronounce it Namor because I'm sticking with what actually culturally his name is. But I just found that really odd that it was just like weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I know people on Twitter got mad about that for like a week prior to the movie coming out. But yeah, so he's basically like, go get this scientist, where then Okoye and Shuri go to MIT and find Riri Williams, who, by the way, is awesome in this movie. I really expected Riri Williams. You don't think so, Seth? That's fine. I really expected her to be the child.
I think she was good. I just
Okay,
didn't like her character.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I expected her to be the childish insert joke here character, and she wasn't. She was awesome in my opinion. I really, really liked her. And then so as they're going through, they go to Riri Williams' shop. You know, she's got her first Mark I Ironheart suit. There is a you know, the U.S. government doing their thing. You know, they come and try to get them. They didn't really explain why they were after them. I assume it's just because the vibranium locator device was broken or whatever. So then high-speed chase. Basically, they're in the Mark I suit, and I just want to mention that I got damn emotional when she's like climbing in the air and then losing oxygen. And I really wanted, she didn't have a faceplate, so that's why she's losing oxygen. Good parallel to Iron Man 1 and the and it getting super cold and his suit icing. I really wanted her to say like, don't tell me the no, yeah. Just like, don't tell me the numbers, just put it on the screen like Iron Man did. She didn't have a screen, so she couldn't say that. But damn it, that made me really emotional. As you guys know, he's my favorite. So then, high speed chase. The Talokan natives of Namora and what's his name, the other guy, Atuma, basically steal they steal Shuri and Riri Williams, bring them down to Talokan, and this is where we get Everett Ross and a big introduction to her first like full motion picture in the MCU, Valentina De La Fon or whatever her name is. Allegra DeFontaine, and Everett Ross show up. She is now the director of the CIA. So they show up. There are beads on the floor. Everett Ross picks them up, grabs them. Okoye obviously was with them, but she did not get captured. She makes it back to Wakanda, is stripped of her title. Boo, sad, unfortunate for her. Then we go and explore Talokan a little bit. And then Tyler, I don't believe you were a huge fan of the water. I don't think in general it looked too bad. There are moments which I mentioned.
Average Avatar fan right there.
Well, it was just really lazy because, like, I don't know, the physics were literally just sort of like, okay, if we just make the hair move, that's all we need. Because like they can just talk underwater, sounds fine.
Yeah,
they can open their mouths. They can open their mouths and like no bubbles come out, which like people would be like, oh well, like they're like mutated to be able to do that. It's like when fish open their mouth, bubbles come out. It's just not
I
just
think
like
Aquaman did that too. Am I not mistaken?
No, Aquaman's was better underwater scenes for sure.
No, I agree, but I think they did. I think you can talk underwater normally. I don't remember exactly, but
I thought I remember but I still like, and like it was always so dark and it was on purpose. Like I know like the. Like, look at the Avatar Way of Water trailers. That shit's bright underwater because they're like, we invested in this shit.
Fake, not real. Can't see.
Does anyone
underwater.
Does anyone give MCU like a pass when it comes to this sort of thing? Occasionally, I like just expect this sort of thing to happen.
No, I'm not gonna say it's a like perfect movie, but I don't like. I don't know. Doesn't detract for me.
And I'm not comparing it to Avatar, but that's what I'm saying. Like for me, Aquaman came out 4 years ago, and I thought it looked a lot better underwater.
I think it looked great. Yeah.
So that's really like for me. It's not like obviously Avatar is gonna, when Avatar comes out in 2 months, you're gonna rewatch Black Panther Wakanda Forever and be like, this is horse shit. Turn off this 480p nonsense. But compared to Aquaman, I thought it was a downgrade too, which is what I was disappointed
I hope you're wrong. I really hope you're wrong.
My only issues with it were like when people were kind of swimming around, or like not even people swimming around. Sorry, it was when the whales were swimming by people or something. Like those, I don't think looked well done, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, we explore Talokan. Ramonda goes and gets Nakia, and then Nakia saves Ironheart. Riri Williams and Shuri, and then
are we going to talk about the suit, or when are we planning on talking about the Ironheart suit?
That was
at the end when it comes out.
Keep going with
I'm just going full on through. In this, they kill a Talokan native in the process, and this kind of is what is the catalyst for the movie. Namor gets all pissed off, obviously, floods Wakanda, which I know is a big thing in the comics of like the flooding of Wakanda. So then this is like fight scene number 1, you know, the minor fight scene of every Marvel movie. There's like 2, you know. So this is like fight scene number 1. It's in Wakanda. I really like this fight scene. You know, you get.
Did you prefer this fight scene than the end fight scene?
I did. I agree with you.
I think this was like the main fight scene.
No, I agree. I agree. I think the end, we'll get to it, was a lot of, you know, spectacle in a small area. Doesn't matter. But yeah, good fight scene in Wakanda. Namor, like I said, floods it, and then in this process, Ramonda is killed. Shuri is all pissed off. You know, obviously her mom was just killed. I have written down that she is upsetty spaghetti. So she's upset. Also, it's worth noting that when she was in Talokan, she was given a bracelet which she then uses because it's made of vibranium, like herb or whatever they had in Talokan, whatever they found that plant, it's made of that. So she's able to recreate the heart-shaped herb. And this is when she kind of takes that and becomes the Black Panther. In that, like, big spoiler alert number 2, in her vision that she sees Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan. Obviously, she kind of thinks and the reason she sees him is because she's so consumed with revenge at this point, kind of like how he was. She thinks she'll see her mother, but she does not. And also, again, worth noting, she doesn't really believe in tradition this entire movie. And then this is kind of like the start of where she starts believing in it a little bit, because that in that like Panther realm or whatever you want to call it, she sees Michael B. Jordan. Fast forward a little bit, you know, she's become the Black Panther.
We should mention that's where that fight scene is where we see how overpowered that guy is.
Namor, or
yeah.
Oh,
Namor.
yeah.
Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. We talked about this. Fuck you. You shouldn't be allowed to have
cheat
winged
code.
feet. Winged feet.
Cheat code.
You can't have wind. You can't have air, water, and ground. Bullshit. You can have 2 of the 3, and that's it. Bullshit. But yeah, forgot about that. Thank you, Seth. Bullshit. But then fast forward kind of towards the fight at the end. They've created a plan to kill Namor. It's the obvious. You take him out of water. He's a water-based power. But then, yeah, we have the MCU third act battle, where we can kind of talk about a couple suits that I don't think any of us really enjoyed. The Midnight Angels are kind of introduced with Okoye and Enika, who are basically like a subsection of the Dora Milaje, and that's what their like purple suits were. Hated those suits. Really did not like that suit design. I tried looking up if it was comic accurate, and I couldn't find anything. So I feel okay saying they sucked. You know, sometimes suits suck, but they're really comic accurate. So I feel like I
give them a
really
break.
Yeah, exactly.
I like those suits.
Did you really?
I really did.
I love that
because I love the fact that they just looked like the Predator, and I just thought that was hysterical. Like the design was clearly just like the Predator. Yeah. And they were like, "What if we design these with shitty CGI and just put them in the Black Panther universe?"
I know what you mean. There was like a massive resemblance to
I thought it was just so funny. I thought it was a good suit. It was not the worst suit of the movie.
No. We can talk about next. I actually think I like them less, but then the Ironheart Mark II.
Stop
the Ironheart Mark II went around. It looked like a Fortnite skin in some sections. It's just very colorful on a very colorful background, so it kind of just looks like you're in Fortnite. My least, I didn't hate the suit. I hated when she took off the mask and it was like a triangle around her face. That was what upset me the most. I don't know why it didn't just take off the entire helmet. Like
the entire helmet. That was weird. Yeah. It was so weird.
I didn't like it. You see like her face in a triangle. Yeah, it's really odd. Didn't love that. You know, we don't have to harp on it too much. I don't know, Tyler, you mentioned it earlier, talking about it. It's not great.
No,
I don't
think anyone liked it, did they?
I did end up. I really liked. Shuri's Black Panther suit. It's got the same. Did people not like that? I don't know. I'm just saying. I like it. Yeah, I didn't really. It's got the same like in her suit. It's got the same jewels that she like kind of was wearing to mimic what she was wearing during the funeral, with the paint on her face. So I like that. It's more flashy like the Killmonger suit, and that's kind of why it's got cool layers to it. Sure,
it's cool.
But, yeah, exactly. So just, you know, it's a big MCU fight. They're on a big ship that the Wakandans make. Why you're going to the middle of the ocean to fight Talokan people is like, just what? Even a beach is better than this. Even a beach is better than this thing, man. I don't know if you guys want to touch on the fight at all, but it was just anticlimactic for me. It was just
there was nothing really there. It just felt like a middle fight. It felt like a subplot kind of fight. and I was always waiting for something else to happen, and it never really did. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy it. I think this is where the movie really went downhill for me personally.
I liked the fight between Namor and Shuri.
Really, I didn't.
I didn't like the other fight.
I didn't like either of them, to be honest.
George, it didn't look like you liked that either.
This is one of the reasons why I don't think Namor lived up to the hype. I've never seen a character get nerfed within a movie. There was
He didn't have water.
Yeah, but he was powerful on ground.
There was so much like they were talking about this man like he was a god. Like the myth around him was unbelievable. Then he comes into Wakanda, floods it, kills the queen. He is displaying what he's capable of. Then you go to the final battle scene. He gets captured by Shuri within like 5 minutes, and it's the easiest thing in the world. Then he gets his ass almost handed to him by Shuri, who just took up the mantle of Black Panther. He was dumbed down like crazy in that final battle scene. And it just bothered me so much. Like, I wanted to see him win in this movie. I wanted to see him genuinely win.
Like,
and then taking this war between, you know, the surface world and Talokan into the next movie.
I understand that, because that did drop it down in my like MCU villain ranking, whatever. My point would be the reason I liked him as a villain is I actually understood the stakes and the redemption. I think that's what MCU struggle with a lot, is me understanding what the villain's motive actually is and what the stakes are in the film. And I think he was a better written villain than a lot of the MCU, even though he probably wasn't quite as powerful, and we saw at the end. And it didn't make sense because like he was portrayed as a god, like George said, and at the end he like
well, so okay, you know, me. Yeah. You know, it was a big, like, they created that plan in the, I forget what ship, I don't know what the ships are called in the Wakandan ship. You know, they have the, like, fucking sauna heat rays, you know, that basically that evaporate the water off his skin. I don't think he touches water after that. So that's kind of my point. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think he touches water after that. So he's already kind of depowered a little bit.
I don't think he does. To be fair.
That's the big thing, is like he doesn't touch water. And so that's, I guess, his weakness, because they've said, you know, like in water, he's like as strong as the Hulk or Thor or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a fake movie. But in this situation, I'll talk about it like it matters. He doesn't touch water. He doesn't have water. So that's why when he does like basically defeat Shuri for like, you know, 2 minutes or 1 minute. Yeah. He's like, I need water. So he stabs her with whatever the Wakandan spear, I think it is, stabs her with that, and then is trying to get back to water. She just rips that shit off. Like, I think that's more just like, you know, heart-shaped, or she's got superpowers at that. Yeah, it doesn't. Again, it's a fake universe. There's a billion different answers. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, she really ate that spear.
Yeah, she did, man. She did.
That was like through her.
No, can we go back all the way to the beginning with the way they handled the death of Chadwick and the fact that they opened with him basically flatlining? I was like kind of against that, and I even texted Tyler. I was like, this kind of just felt off. Then I just saw a TikTok video of a person basically explaining that this wasn't supposed to be an emotional send-off for Chadwick. It was supposed to be the start of Shuri's character arc, because she's always been the smartest in the room. She's always been able to solve her problems. Even in Infinity War, she made Bruce Banner look like an absolute bitch. So a lot of people on TikTok, I just saw, they were basically arguing this was the start of her character arc. She failed. She absolutely failed. It kind of moved her towards, you know, this sad, depressed life. And then after the queen died, she moved into this more vengeful life. So after having seen that, and then kind of wrapping up the movie all the way at the end, being able to make Namor yield as opposed to killing him, I just think that was a good little in-movie arc. I think it was one of the better ones we've seen in Phase 4, right there with, you know, Peter Parker in No Way Home.
Yeah,
that works. That works, but also like one thing that's just like funny about there's just like a superhero movie problem is like clearly she didn't want to kill Namor, but like she exploded that thing right by him and basically almost killed him. Like, what if it would have accidentally killed him? She'd be like, shit. Oh well.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
so dumb.
Just the MCU,
but that's just superhero
Marvel movie.
Yeah.
That's just a Marvel thing. Yeah.
It is good though. Like her arc really, and this is not an original thought. A lot of people have said this. Her arc really parallels Chadwick's T'Challa in Civil War because he is super consumed by what is it? Revenge. So it's a good parallel. Lots of good parallels here. And then so like we said, Namor yields, and then they all fly back to the ship that all the Wakandans and Talokanians, I guess I'm gonna call them, are fighting on, and they're like, "Hey y'all, let's calm down. We're cool now." So and then it's just over. Worth noting, and I texted Tyler this, at one point Nakia is fighting with those little ring things that Wakanda has. She's clearly not holding anything and clearly swinging at nothing. That's not even like a CGI issue. It's just like you're not fighting anyone. Like you're just swinging around, and then they're adding these in post. Just something funny for me.
There's a lot. There's so many, like even in The Dark Knight Rises, there's this really clear scene where Batman is in the forefront. You're supposed to be paying attention to Batman. And if you're not, if you happen to doze off at the end, you'll see bad guys literally just falling down. They didn't get
Bro, The Dark Knight Rises is so fun. It has so much fun.
But there's all of that like all over the place in superhero movies, even in Endgame and like that final battle. If you're not
don't concentrate.
If you're concentrating on the background, you're gonna see some funny shit. And I think it's hysterical.
There's YouTube videos on that. Like I'm sure I've seen some.
People hit the deck and not even get touched.
Yeah. But so that's basically the end of the movie. There are this isn't like post credits, but we'll talk about like the end of the movie and post credits as a whole. So it looks like M'Baku is going to be taking the mantle of King of Wakanda, where Shuri is going to be having the Black Panther. I want to say I said that before the movie. Just want to throw that out there. Someone go check it. It was in one of these podcasts.
Wait.
I want to say.
And maybe this is just me being stupid. Is that what was implied? Is M'Baku?
Yeah, because Shuri didn't come to the ritual.
So that automatically means she yields.
I didn't get that.
I don't think so. I don't think it automatic. I watched YouTube videos on it, and that was what was being implied by that, because he challenges the throne, but she's not there. So I've seen that they had their connection during the movie.
Okay.
But
at first I was confused. At first I was like, damn, why is he actually about to challenge?
He's just gonna take the throne, and then Shuri's gonna be the Black Panther.
Okay.
My cinema was laughing every time he was on the screen.
He's
you know what? He is funny. I was laughing at some points. He is actually funny.
He's so good.
Winston
also,
Duke's
shout
awesome.
out Kamara Usman, ex.
I saw you.
I jumped out of my seat. That was like a Soups moment for me. Amazing. Loved it.
That's awesome.
It was like when I saw George St. Pierre in Captain America or something.
Yeah, Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Yeah. I like that. It's fun.
And then Namora and Namor, which also whoever wrote those in the original comics, good job with the names. Whichever one came first, the second one I hate. So Namora and Namor. They basically, Namor is all like, hey, how could you yield to this country? And then Namor was kind of telling his plan that eventually the surface world will come for Wakanda. Wakanda will call on I'm just gonna say the Atlanteans, and that's kind of when he'll be able to take down the surface world. He doesn't necessarily want to take down Wakanda, but just wants to take down the rest of the surface world. So that's kind of implying the next movie that will be out whenever he gets his own movie, or maybe Black Panther 3. And then the real emotion.
Do you think he'd get a show? Do you think that would be part of a limited series on him?
He might.
No. I was just saying,
I think he's kind of gotten this status of he's so culturally important for a lot of people. The Talokan people are really based on Aztec culture, and he's very culture important. I don't think the MCU would give him a show that's not as important as a movie, maybe. But I think he will get his own movie.
World just really cool. I'd watch that.
I think he'll get his own movie. But so then the big part is that Shuri finally accepts her culture, and then burns her her funeral clothes or whatever, just in the Wakanda culture. That's what they do, I guess. And then there's a very emotional playing of just scenes from Black Panther 1 of her and Chadwick
That was sad.
That
That
shit
bit
hurt,
was
yeah.
really sad. Yeah, that was sad.
That's where I thought they were gonna have like a whisper in the wind of Chadwick saying
Forever,
and that I would have been okay with. That I kind of wanted, honestly. I would have been like, this shit hurt.
I thought, and again, I texted Tyler after the movie when Shuri was in the ancestral plane, and before we saw that it was Killmonger, I was like, for a split second, I was like, they CGI'd Chadwick Boseman.
I thought they were gonna do that too.
I would have left the theater.
That would have been like a horrendous.
Yeah,
I would have walked out.
It wouldn't have surprised me that much.
But like literally for a split second, I'm like, they're hiding who this is. They like if it was the mother, I don't think they would have hid that. But like for a second, it was like when it was like it was like in Rogue One when Grand Moff Tarkin comes in and he's fully CGI'd. I thought they were going to do that. I was like, this is going to be horrific.
So weird.
That's one of those things where I agree with you. I thought they were going to do it. And I think the great thing about Ryan Coogler is he just had such a knowledge for like how much people like how to respect Chadwick in this movie that he probably, I'm sure that got suggested at one point 100%. Is how can we CGI Chadwick into this? And he just didn't want any part in it.
I think it was a lot actually more respectful than I actually predicted it to be. Aren't they doing that with Stan Lee, the CGI thing?
No, they were. I don't.
They don't CGI.
They got the agreed, but
no. There was news dropped months ago. I don't know where they are in this development, but news dropped that eventually going forward they're going to start CGIing Stan Lee into like little cameos, which is like a
I hate that.
Yeah, don't do that. Bro, it hasn't happened yet, so.
Wouldn't you just put him on like a bus stop in the background?
Yeah, that's like, just put him. Yeah, just put like a picture or something. Don't like CGI him.
Dumb.
Yeah. But so just and then into the official post credit, Shuri is sitting where she was, and then Nakia comes up to her, and it's unveiled that Nakia and T'Challa had a son who is also now named T'Challa. His Haitian name is Toussaint, I believe.
Toussaint.
That hurt, just him saying to King T'Challa, that hurt. And then I think that's like the biggest reason there wasn't a second post-credit scene is, again, this entire movie was just paying tribute to Chadwick, and they wanted one last it's a big reveal. So. It's a big reveal because eventually he will probably become either the king of Wakanda or Black Panther. So it will be important in the future, but it's one of those things where it's like a tribute as well as a big moment. And they probably didn't want to say, like, you could almost like, the entire talking point of this movie would be, say, if they like revealed who's the fucking Fantastic Four bad guy, Dr. Doom. Yeah, thank you. Who was like, that was a big rumor of like that would be
if that would have been like the lowest point in the MCU.
That would have been the talked about moment of this movie. Holy shit, did you see Dr. Doom? But this entire movie, like I said, is just like, holy shit, did you see that payment to Chadwick's character? And I kind of tweeted it. I think this thing did it incredibly. I'm glad they didn't just do that intro and then kind of stop talking about it. Like the entire movie had sprinkles of like just pain and sadness for this guy who obviously did die in real life.
That's why I enjoyed it so much, because I just feel like this actually had substance. Like for the first time in so long of a Marvel plot, like I feel like there was actually underlying thematic elements in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it hurt. But
also the kid looked so much like Chadwick. Like, so do you think like they're gonna recast him like as like a teenager in a future project and then recast him as an adult, or do you think this kid just like won the lottery as a 6-year-old and it's like, dude, you're set up for the rest of your life?
I said this to Anna. I don't know anything about Chadwick Boseman, bear in mind. I literally turned around and went, is that actually his son? Because it could have been. Like, they actually got his son. I don't know if he's got a son, but it did look like him, didn't it? Like, it could have.
A lot, like, scarily like him, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's got
it's definitely not his son, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know. It might be. It's not, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's not, but
no, it's not. So that's kind of beat for beat the movie. I don't know if anyone had any extra points to make, but we kind of ran on this one pretty long.
Well, just a couple like minor comments. One, a lot of people but want to see this, which I don't think any way will happen. But Riri goes to MIT. People are like, oh, is MJ and Ned going to be there? Really don't think anything's going to come of that. Mainly for me, because I feel like the Spider-Man, more so because of the Spider-Man contractual reasons as opposed to like the MCU. I feel like if they were just allowed to freely use those characters. Like, is MJ and Ned? I feel like they're in the same contract deal as Spider-Man, like with Sony.
I don't think they've made a deal yet. I think maybe, but I don't know.
But anyways, and then there was also one point in the movie where they were talking about the AI, and they're like, "No, this artificial intelligence will never turn bad." It's like, do you guys remember that? It was like a scene that they specifically weirdly said, "They're like, this artificial intelligence will literally never turn bad or evil." Like, I made it that way. I'm like, wow, like slap me in the face with harder foreshadowing. Like,
yeah.
Also,
very Ultron vibes.
Also, yeah, Angela Bassett is aging like fine wine.
Oh, she's so good.
She's in her mid-60s now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I would be happy if she got a supporting actress nomination. For
like she's not gonna win, but like a nomination, I'd be totally cool with.
I strongly believe it's one of the best MCU performances I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like,
agreed.
I think she was fantastic. Easy to stand out easily.
Just the behind the scenes of Ryan Coogler went on the podcast talking about what the MCU was what this movie was going to be with Chadwick, and then like the last thing he said, to Chadwick was like reading him or telling him about the script, and then like behind the scenes of Letitia Wright and Angela Bassett basically saying like every emotional scene is just like them being sad that they don't have their friend. That fucking hurts so hard. But that's all I have to say. Anyone? We've kind of been going. This has been probably our longest review ever.